All right, so uh, you've decided to really go for it, huh? An import-export manager role.
In the world of international fruit and veggie trade,
Exactly. We've got all your RoleCatcher resources right here.
career guides,
Interview prep.
the whole 9 yards.
This deep dive is going to be your shortcut to interview success.
Yeah.
Helping you navigate everything from regulations to those super tricky interview questions.
It's definitely a demanding role.
Oh, for sure.
You're essentially installing and maintaining the whole system that keeps produce moving across borders.
Wow.
You'll be working with legal teams,
I bet.
overseas suppliers. It's a truly global operation.
Okay, so you're like the conductor of this international produce orchestra.
That's a good way to put it.
What's the career outlook look like for someone who can handle all that?
Well, the guide says there should be about 7% growth over the next decade.
Wow.
Globalization isn't slowing down, so the demand for skilled import-export managers is only going to climb.
That's great to hear. But the guide also mentioned some downsides, right? Like long hours and tough competition.
Yeah, those are definitely part of the package. And you're always dealing with market fluctuations,
Oh, yeah, I bet.
which can really impact your success.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, a frost in Florida can send orange prices through the roof overnight.
Wow.
So you constantly need to be ready to pivot.
So how do you even get your foot in the door in a field like this?
Well,
What does the RoleCatcher guide suggest?
internships are always a good starting point. Ideally in an import-export department.
Of course.
Study abroad programs can give you valuable international experience.
I bet.
And you should definitely try to attend some industry events early on to start making those connections.
Networking is always a good idea. The guide also mentions certifications.
Yeah.
CITP, AGBP. I'm not familiar with those.
Think of those as your I Speak Fluent international trade badges.
Interesting.
The CITP is the Certified International Trade Professional designation.
Okay.
It's very well respected.
I'll take.
And the CGBP is the Certified Global Business Professional. Having these certifications really shows employers you're serious about your expertise.
Yeah, they could definitely help you stand out in a competitive job market. But let's get to the heart of it.
Right.
The interview itself.
Okay.
We're going to spend most of our time today going over sample questions from the RoleCatcher guide
All right.
and how you can craft answers that will really blow away the hiring manager. But first,
Yeah.
let's touch on how RoleCatcher's AI can help you prepare.
Their AI is incredible.
I know, it's pretty amazing.
It can analyze job descriptions and figure out exactly which skills you should highlight on your resume
Oh, wow.
and in your answers.
So it's kind of like,
It's like having a personalized roadmap for each job you apply for.
that's amazing. So you're not just sending out the same generic application every time.
Nope.
You're tailoring it to each company and role.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
And they have this massive database of practice interview questions.
Oh, right. I've heard about that.
You can even use the AI to practice answering them on video and get feedback on how you're doing.
That's really cool. That's like having a virtual interview coach right in your pocket.
It really is.
Okay, let's dive into some of these sample questions.
All right.
Remember, it's not just about what you say, but how you say it.
Of course.
Let's start with a classic. What experience do you have in the import and export industry?
That's a good one to start with.
Seems straightforward, but how can you make your answer really stand out?
Well, this is your chance to show off your specific knowledge about fruits and vegetables,
I see.
not just import-export in general.
Makes sense.
So think about numbers,
Okay.
achievements,
Okay.
projects that really show you're an expert.
So instead of just saying, I've worked in import-export for 5 years, you would say something like, I successfully managed the import of $1 million worth of avocados from Mexico.
Exactly.
And I make sure they met all the quality and safety standards.
Perfect. Now you're talking.
Nice.
But also be ready for follow-up questions.
Oh, of course.
Like they might ask, what were some challenges you faced during that avocado project and how did you overcome them?
Yeah, that makes sense.
This is where you get to show off your problem-solving skills
Good.
and how you handle pressure.
Okay, so you're not just listing facts.
Yeah.
You're telling a story
Yeah.
that highlights your skills and experience.
Right.
Okay, let's try one that's specific to fruits and vegetables.
Yeah.
How do you manage the logistics of importing and exporting perishable goods?
This is where you prove you understand the unique challenges of dealing with produce.
Okay.
I mean, we're not talking about shipping shoes here.
That's true.
This is about living, breathing products.
Interesting.
With very specific needs.
It's-
Temperature control,
For sure.
customs clearance speed.
Uh-huh.
Those are super critical.
So you'd want to talk about things like cold chain logistics,
Yeah.
specialized freight forwarders.
Right.
Basically proving you understand how fragile these products are.
Exactly. A good follow-up here could be, tell me about a time you had to deal with a delay or a disruption in a shipment of perishable goods. How did you handle it?
Oh, I like that one.
They want to see that you can think on your feet and find solutions under pressure.
Makes sense.
Yeah?
Okay, let's tackle the compliance question.
Okay.
How do you ensure compliance with import-export regulations and laws? It's not enough to just rattle off a list of regulations, is it?
No, definitely not. You really need to show them your process for staying up to date.
Okay.
It shows that you're proactive and responsible. You can mention any resources you use.
Okay.
Trade publications.
Got it.
Industry associations.
Okay.
Even continuing education courses. Show them that compliance is a top priority for you.
So you're proving your commitment to staying on top of all those regulations?
Yes, because they are always changing.
What kind of follow-up question could you get here?
They might say, give me an example of a time you had to deal with a really complex regulatory change. What was your approach? They want to see that you can adapt and find solutions within a legal framework.
That makes sense.
Uh-huh.
This is really helpful. Okay, let's move on. How do you identify and evaluate potential suppliers and buyers?
All right.
It's about more than just finding names, right?
Oh, absolutely. You need to prove you do your due diligence.
Yeah.
Talk about how you research,
Okay.
how you check certifications, their financial stability. You can even mention visiting their facilities if possible.
Oh.
You're showing them that you can really vet these potential partners
I see.
and make sure they're trustworthy and reliable.
So it's all about mitigating risk and protecting your company.
Exactly.
What could they ask to follow up on that?
They might say, can you describe a time when you had to choose between two potential suppliers who had different strengths and weaknesses? How did you decide?
Ooh, that's a good one.
This highlights your analytical skills
Right.
and your decision-making process.
Okay, now for a question that tests your negotiation skills. How do you negotiate contracts with suppliers and buyers? I feel like it's not about being a hard-nosed negotiator.
No, it's more about finding solutions that work for everybody.
Okay.
Talk about your process, how you prepare.
I see.
You research market prices,
Right.
identify what's non-negotiable for you,
Okay.
and then find creative ways to add value for both sides.
So you're not trying to win at all costs.
No, you want to come across as someone who can build strong relationships
I get it.
that are beneficial for everyone.
What could they ask about negotiating?
Maybe something like, tell me about a time you had to negotiate a really challenging contract. What was your strategy and what happened?
Okay. So you can talk about your flexibility, your persistence,
I see.
in getting a positive outcome.
Makes sense. Okay, let's address the elephant in the room. How do you handle disputes with suppliers and buyers?
Oh, that's a tough one.
Conflict's going to happen, especially when you're working with international partners.
Right.
How do you approach a question like that? Diplomacy is key.
Of course.
Really emphasize your communication skills
Okay.
and your problem-solving skills.
Yeah.
You can even mention specific conflict resolution techniques you've learned or used successfully in the past.
So you're showing that you can stay calm,
Right?
listen to everyone,
Yeah,
and find solutions without damaging those important relationships.
exactly. A great follow-up here could be, can you describe a time you successfully resolved a dispute with an international supplier or buyer? What were the key factors in your success?
That's a good one.
This is where you can show off how you handle those cultural differences
Oh, for sure.
and find common ground.
Okay. I think we've covered some really crucial stuff.
Yeah.
But I want to go over one more question before we move on.
Okay.
This one's super important when you're dealing with perishable goods. How do you manage risk in the import-export industry? What are they really looking for with this one?
They want to see that you really get the risks involved in global trade.
Yeah,
From natural disasters
Oh.
to political instability,
for sure.
currency fluctuations, even just logistical delays.
Got it.
You need to highlight your ability to see those challenges coming,
Right.
to make backup plans,
Of course.
and prevent potential losses.
So it's all about being proactive
Exactly.
and having a plan B.
And a plan C.
I like it.
You can even mention specific risk assessment tools you've used.
Okay.
Or methodologies you followed in the past.
Good idea.
Yeah.
A possible follow-up could be, what are some of the biggest risks you see right now in the global landscape, and how would you handle them?
That's a really good one.
So you can show off your knowledge of current events
Right.
and how you think strategically.
Exactly.
Okay, last question for this part of our deep dive. How do you ensure that imported and exported goods meet quality standards?
All right.
This is about protecting your company's reputation, isn't it?
It absolutely is. You want to show off those quality control processes,
Yeah, okay.
inspections,
Got it.
working with certified suppliers.
Right.
Having those clear quality standards documented and shared with everybody.
Makes sense.
You can even mention any certifications that are specific to produce.
So you're showing that you're super meticulous.
Yeah.
And you understand how important it is to deliver high-quality products.
Exactly. A great follow-up here could be, tell me at a time you had to deal with a quality problem in a produce shipment. What did you do to fix it?
That's a good one. They want to know how you handle those bumps in the road.
Exactly.
Okay, I think we've covered a lot here.
We have.
But these are just examples.
Right.
RoleCatcher's AI can help you tailor your answers to the company and role you're going for.
Absolutely.
And don't forget, you can use their AI to practice answering these questions on video and get feedback.
It really is like having a personal coach.
Available anytime.
Yeah.
We'll continue our deep dive into the world of the Import-Export Manager after a quick break.
We just went through a bunch of those interview questions.
Yeah, some tough ones.
But let's think about what happens after you actually get the job. The Import-Export Manager job.
Yeah.
The RoleCatcher Guide lays out a pretty clear career path.
So you're not just stuck in one role forever.
Nope.
Tell me about that.
Well, it usually starts with a coordinator position.
Okay.
Then you move up to junior manager, manager, senior manager, and so on.
I see.
Each step comes with more responsibility
Of course.
and more strategic decision-making.
I really like how the guide has those examples for each stage.
Yeah.
You get a real sense of what someone at that level actually does.
It helps set those realistic expectations.
Right.
And they really emphasize continuous learning.
Oh, yeah. I bet.
The import-export world is always changing.
For sure.
So you really have to stay ahead of the curve.
What do they suggest for that?
They recommend taking courses, going to webinars,
Okay.
even just reading industry blogs.
Got it.
All that helps you stay up to date on regulations and trends.
So you're never really done learning.
Nope.
Which makes sense with global trade always changing.
Exactly. And remember those certifications we talked about?
The CITP and CGBP?
Yeah, those aren't just for getting your first job.
Oh.
They're valuable for moving up, too.
How so?
They show that you're dedicated to professional development,
Right.
which is really important for those higher-level roles.
So I get investment in your future.
It is.
I'm seeing why those certifications are so important in this industry.
They really are. The guide also talks about showcasing your skills,
Okay.
like putting together a portfolio of your successful projects,
Interesting.
maybe writing some articles or giving talks,
Wow.
really positioning yourself as an expert.
It's like building your brand,
It is.
which is really important in a competitive field.
Exactly.
Okay, let's get back to the interview questions for a bit.
All right.
We talked about the practical stuff, logistics,
Yeah.
but what about those curveball questions?
The ones that test your knowledge of the big picture.
Exactly. The RoleCatcher guide mentions a few
Okay.
things that will really impress an interviewer. Well, one was the growing demand for organic and sustainably sourced produce.
Oh, yeah. That's a big one.
How would you even answer that?
Well, you need to show that you understand what consumers want.
Okay,
People really care where their food comes from these days
that's true.
and what impact it has on the environment.
For sure.
So you'd talk about how you source from suppliers who are aligned with those values.
I see.
Things like fair trade, carbon footprint reduction.
So it's not just about finding the cheapest option anymore.
Nope. It's about finding suppliers who meet those ethical and environmental standards.
Makes sense. You could even mention specific certifications, right?
Yeah, like fair trade or organic certifications.
Okay, that makes sense. Another one the guide mentions is geopolitical factors impacting supply chains.
Oh, yeah.
That's a big one. We live in a pretty unpredictable world.
We do.
Things like trade wars or political instability can really mess things up.
They can disrupt those carefully planned supply chains.
Exactly. It's important for any import-export manager to be aware of that.
Absolutely. They want to see that you're thinking strategically.
Not just focused on the day-to-day stuff.
Right.
So how would you prepare for a question like that?
Well, you can't predict what's going to happen in the world,
That's true.
but you can show that you understand the risks
Okay.
and that you have a system for staying informed.
So you're not just ignoring what's going on.
Nope. You're actively keeping an eye on things.
What are some resources you'd suggest?
You could mention reliable news sources or industry publications that focus on that kind of analysis.
So you're showing that you're thinking about how global events might affect your work.
Exactly. You could even talk about diversifying your suppliers.
Oh, interesting.
So you're not relying too much on one country or region.
That's smart. Having those relationships in different parts of the world,
It gives you a buffer.
if something unexpected happens,
Right. It's all about thinking ahead.
and being ready to adapt.
Exactly. Speaking of adapting,
Yeah.
let's go back to RoleCatcher's AI for a minute.
Okay, their AI tools are pretty amazing.
They are.
We've talked about how they can help you with your resume and practice answering questions.
Right.
But how does that feedback help with those tougher, more strategic questions?
Their AI can actually analyze your answers.
Really?
And give you feedback on things like clarity,
Okay.
conciseness.
Uh-huh.
Even if you're using the right industry terms,
Wow.
it's especially helpful for those questions where you need to show you really understand the industry.
So it's not just about knowing the right answer.
It's about how you present it,
Exactly.
using the right language,
Yeah.
structuring your thoughts,
I see.
showing that you can think critically and strategically.
RoleCatcher can help you with all that.
They can.
Okay. I think we've given our listeners a lot to think about.
Yeah, we've covered a lot.
But before we wrap up, I want to talk about one more thing.
What's that?
Cultural sensitivity,
Ooh, that's a big one.
especially when you're working with international partners.
It is. The RoleCatcher Guide really emphasizes that.
What do they say?
They talk about social perceptiveness,
Okay.
being aware of how other people are reacting,
Right.
and understanding why they might react differently than you expect.
Especially when you're dealing with different cultures.
Exactly.
It's about being respectful,
Yeah.
adaptable.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And able to build relationships with people from all different backgrounds.
It's not just about knowing the customs.
Right.
It's about being genuinely interested in learning about other cultures
Exactly.
and approaching those interactions with an open mind.
You need to listen actively,
Of course.
ask clarifying questions,
Yeah.
and be sensitive to those nonverbal cues.
That's really good advice.
If you're ever unsure about something, just ask.
Better safe than sorry.
Right. Don't make assumptions.
So to all our listeners out there prepping for their interviews,
Yes,
remember, knowledge is important.
it is.
But so are those soft skills,
Absolutely.
like communication, adaptability, and cultural sensitivity.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah.
And don't forget those AI-powered tools from RoleCatcher.
Oh yeah, they're a game changer.
They can help with your resume, your answers practicing your delivery.
Until you feel totally confident.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You'll be ready to shine.
All right, we're going to take a quick pause here, and when we come back, we'll wrap up our deep dive with some final thoughts on what's next for this exciting field. We've covered so much in this deep dive.
Yeah, from those specific interview questions to those really important soft skills,
But now I want to zoom out a bit.
Yep.
Look at the big picture.
the future.
Yeah. What's next for this whole field?
It's time to think about the what if.
I like that.
You know, the world of food trade is constantly being reshaped by technology,
Oh, for sure.
consumer demand, global events. The RoleCatcher Guide gives us a glimpse of what's coming.
Okay, give me a sneak peek.
Yeah.
What do you see happening in the next, 5 to 10 years?
Okay, imagine this AI isn't just helping you write your resume.
Okay.
It's predicting market shifts,
Wow.
optimizing shipping routes.
In real time.
Yeah, even negotiating contracts with suppliers all over the world.
That's incredible.
The role becomes less about doing things manually
I see.
and more about strategy,
Okay.
about understanding all this data and all these global trends.
So it's not just about knowing the rules for avocados from Mexico.
Exactly.
You need to know what's going to happen to the global avocado market.
Right, and where the best sources will be in 5 years.
That's a lot to think about.
And it's about making smarter decisions faster using all that data.
That's a whole different ballgame. What other tech could change things?
Think about blockchain
Okay.
and what it means for traceability and food safety.
Yeah.
Imagine being able to track every single piece of produce
Yeah.
from the farm where it grows all the way to the supermarket,
So it would be amazing.
ensuring quality and transparency the whole way.
Consumers would love that.
They would, especially with how much they care about food safety and ethical sourcing these days.
It would be a game changer for the whole industry.
Absolutely. And it's not just tech.
What else?
Consumer preferences are changing too. People want organic, local, sustainable food.
Sure.
And that demand is only going to grow.
Right.
Import-export managers need to be ahead of that curve,
Okay.
finding suppliers who can meet those needs.
It's not just about moving boxes anymore.
It's about connecting all the dots in this giant global food web.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
So what does this mean for someone who's just starting out?
What advice would you give them to thrive in this crazy world? First, embrace lifelong learning.
Okay.
The stuff you learn today might be outdated tomorrow.
That's true.
So stay curious.
Yeah.
Stay adaptable.
Uh-huh.
Never stop learning new skills.
The import-export world never stops changing.
And neither should you.
So be a continuous learner. What else?
Build your network.
Okay.
Connect with people in the industry.
Right.
Go to conferences. Join those online groups.
The more perspectives, the better.
Exactly. It'll help you navigate all the complexities of global trade.
Networking is so important.
It is. Relationships are everything in this business.
Okay, last piece of advice.
Don't be afraid to shake things up.
I like that.
The import-export industry needs fresh ideas.
For sure.
So bring your passion for sustainability, your understanding of tech.
Yeah.
You could be the one to change how we feed the world.
That's pretty inspiring. So to all you aspiring import-export managers out there, it's not just about shipping produce.
It's about shaping the future of food.
Good luck on your journey, and we'll see you on the next deep dive.